and seeing what's ahead.
Thanks, Athena.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. I'm just going to listen in on my way home, but I'll hand
Cool.
the host off to you, Erica. And we're recording, so please.
Thank you. Okay, we're starting our subcommittee meeting.
My goodness, we have a participant.
The call to order. We're all here. Raphael's with us, but in a car, so camera off. But
And Ken is attending.
yes, hi Ken. So first thing we can do is have public comment. So Ken, if you want to, um, if you are attending just to attend, that's great. If you want to make a comment, raise your hand and we can make that happen.
We can't bring him into the room, right?
That's right. But I can, I see Ken with his hand raised. Hang on one second. Hi, Ken.
Hi. I guess I thought I would be in the room with you guys. So
Yeah,
I
me too.
got on and I was like, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? And then I just sent Erica and Meg an email saying something's going on. So if I'm just a participant or a viewer,
Yeah.
I'll just sit in the background and maybe I'll raise my hand if I've got some, or maybe if I've got something to say, or if that's out of line or whatever, out of order, I guess is the word. Then just tell me.
But
Okay.
since you're on the committee, it seems that you should participate whenever you want to.
I don't know what the rules are about that.
I don't know either. So I don't know. I
Crazy.
assumed that I'd be with you guys, but that's fine. I'll listen, take
Thank
notes,
you.
and I'll raise my hand if something is worth bringing up.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ken. Glad to have you here.
I won't interrupt.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Three big agenda items that we have is a kind of update. Maybe Meg, you can start with that with the
Sure.
planning for public listening sessions. We need to get an update from you and also talk about what bits of work remain and what we can delegate among ourselves or among the rest of the committee. The other piece of work we have to do is just talk about publicity and what we're going to deliver to Sam as our kind of partner in publicity and when. And then just a review of the town staff survey, which I can run through. So Meg, let's start with you and what you're able to do in terms of booking and scheduling.
So I've been trying very hard to get these things booked, and not with much success so far. So first of all, the May 22nd date is the Thursday before Memorial Weekend, and it's also 3 weeks from tomorrow. And given how challenging this is, I'm now exploring May 29th, which is a week later. I don't know if we have to, everybody approved the schedule, but I don't know if it really sank in how quickly that will happen. Well, first of all, I've been in daily contact with Sam about helping with this. And she said usually Angela does these things. It's a little tricky to say I'm representing the town, because if you're part of the town, that you have a little more agency. But I'm just on a committee. But anyway, I'll just tell you where we are. I changed the date to May 29th. And the first one was at a Crocker, and I've left messages and have not heard back.
Okay.
It was a little disconcerting that the director of facilities, who was a person Sam recommended, had a message that identified himself as a different person from the person that the name Sam gave me. And this man said, and I'll be out of the office in November. So call me on November 20th if I don't, so that was so I called the assistant, left a message, and haven't heard back. The second one was Jones, and because of the renovation, they're not scheduling anything at Jones except the week of. So you can call that week and say, but I told her we couldn't. Thank you. I just had dinner delivered. That we needed to know before a week. So I called, got the contact for Bangs from Sam, and I've left a message and haven't heard back. I went over to the Survival Center and got contact information and am waiting to hear back from them.
Okay,
So the dates, the July date, I moved a week earlier because it just seemed we might as well have them all in a condensed way. So I don't have anything final to report, just that
yeah,
things are, and I'll be able to follow this up. We're going out of town tomorrow, but I'll have full access to phones and email and so on. So I'll follow it up and I'll send you updates as I hear more.
okay. Well, thanks for all that. I'm sorry that it was, challenging.
Yeah,
I think that the Crocker thing sounds like it's just a matter of landing on the right phone number. The Jones makes sense that they're not booking anything.
Totally.
Hopefully we can lock down the bangs.
Yep.
Personally, I would be okay if we can't get a Crocker, a commitment, for that first one to flip those
Yeah,
and have bangs be the first one. If bangs seems like more fluid about
positive, right.
booking and scheduling events.
So I'll make second calls tomorrow.
Okay, can folks hear me?
Yes,
So Meg, if you want to pass it off, semester ended today for me. I know the assistant principal at Crocker Farm. I could check
Oh.
in with it to see process. I'm on a committee on the Jones Library. I could see if there's any wiggle room there. I could do that tomorrow if you need me to.
That would be great. They're going to start construction though in a couple of weeks, so
Yeah, but in terms of like where folks, they're starting, okay. Do you still want me to check in?
yeah, check in, but especially the Crocker check connection sounds really good. Because
Okay.
the number Sam gave me is the facilities person for all the schools, high school, middle school.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I wasn't reassured by the outgoing phone messages. But I'll send you that contact information, Raphael, for the schools.
Yeah.
Crocker
Well,
cafeteria is really good.
What I'll do is I'll check in and see what the process is and to see if there's another contact person.
that's great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Raphael. So, and then maybe Meg, you can proceed with whatever has to happen with the bangs, because that's still going to be a useful contact, whatever date it lands on, to
So
know.
after we talk about this, I wanted to give another related update, but should I do it right now?
Well, I just wanted to say one other thing about that before so we were alternating, if I remember on the schedule, right? We had Crocker, then a virtual one, then Jones, which won't be Jones. It'll be Bangs or something else, and then another virtual one. So just to speak to the sequence, I'm meeting with Athena and Sam on Monday to talk through the website concept and hopefully some of these questions around the hosting virtual sessions and what's involved in using town Zoom accounts and all of that. So
Great.
I'll have more to say about that, but not till after I meet with them. Next week was the first
That's
time available.
Fantastic.
So go ahead. You had something else to say.
Sort of related, which is that I think we agreed 2 meetings ago after Andy and I gathered all the information and then of that we've been getting already the comments. We've already received significant feedback. And if we can, I wrote to Julian today, and I thought Andy was the vice chair, and I wrote to him and he corrected me and said it was you. So that's partly why I wanted to tell you, to remind Julian that we agreed 2 meetings ago that we would start talking about the feedback, the content of it. Because I'm hearing people say, sorry about the kids in the background, that these listening sessions might be more valuable if we've already started to talk about what we're hearing so that we can use these in-person meetings to fine tune it. So I wrote to, I'll send you the copy, Erica, because you're to Julian and reminded him of this. Also at the last meeting, we agreed we would go through the charter article by article, 2 articles at a meeting. So we could do that and address the feedback we're hearing related to each charter article so that we come into these listening sessions not so green, without having heard anything, so that we're a little more knowledgeable about what people are. I'm really sorry. I'm 2 rooms away, but there they are.
Okay, we can't hear it. Don't worry.
Oh, good. the two 3.5-year-olds who may whiz by here, but anyway, so I think I feel increasingly strongly that the more we can talk about the content before I mean, there's only 1 or 2 meetings before we start these listening sessions, the more valuable they'll be.
Mhm. Yeah,
My understanding though, Meg, was that the first listening sessions, and correct me if I'm misspeaking, they would be open in
Yeah.
terms of, okay, okay. Yeah.
yes, I think,
Related to that, Raphael, do we really want to have themes or do we want to keep it more open?
I think where we ended up at the last meeting was we had a whole discussion about it, and that we sort of agreed that the first meeting could be, as Raphael said, wide open to, whatever is coming through. And that we could take both what we hear from that listening session and whatever we've collected in feedback so far, and whatever our own initial review of sections is, and sort of come up with a plan for the subsequent meetings. If there's themes that are emerging or the things that we want to sort of point toward, I think
Mhm.
that's good design for the remaining 3 or 4 sessions, as opposed to
Good.
the first one. I think we wanted, because of the time pressure in particular, leave it kind of wide open for, like, there's enough to do to just handle the logistics,
Yeah,
and then
no kidding.
get us ready, and then see what comes, and then take that and build on it.
Good.
And
Okay.
before we forge ahead, there are other Amherst libraries that possibly could be used. We center Jones, but are the other spaces available? The South Amherst space? Should we check in about that or not?
Well, the South Amherst I mean, what part of the idea of it was to have one in the south, one in the north, and one in the middle.
Okay.
The North Amherst Library has limited hours, and they're not willing to open the community room at hours when they're not open, which is not exactly what happens, because I know our district meetings happen on a Sunday afternoon. But anyway, the Jones said that we could check Munson, but that's the same part of town as Crocker.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, it's a good question. I was thinking about Munson as well. Okay.
The advantage of Crocker is they have the small tables if we're going to go with the beginning part where people talk as a smaller group. That works really well there.
Okay.
So in my mind, the reason to commit to these places and dates is to do the publicity.
Mhm.
Yeah.
In other words, like, if we didn't have to do a publicity push and soon, then we could kind of take our time and just pick the best place for that moment. But I think it makes a lot of sense to publicize all 4 or 5 events kind of at once.
Yeah.
Even if we do another big push for another set of a couple events closer to the end of summer or something.
Yeah.
But I think, pushing hard to lock in these events. And I'm thinking about this now in the timeline that we're facing, right? I think it makes sense, Meg, what you said, to move the first one to the 29th,
Mhm.
which means, from what Sam has said so far, like a 2-week lead time
Yeah.
puts us at about May 15th or May 12th, let's say, to deliver publicity materials and whatever else to her, so she can start sending it out through all her channels. So it's like a 10 to 12 day window that we have from tonight to get her materials. This, to be super clear. And there's one large committee meeting that happens in that window.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So in order to deliver her materials, right, we have to have like a flyer or a poster, whatever. We want to just lock in dates and places. So I think we have the plan for what what we're doing, and we'll just have to update each other as to like what you're learning when you call, for instance,
Okay.
when Raphael calls Crocker, or when you are able to call Bangs again and see what happens.
Right. And I think we can decide that exchanging emails about scheduling is not deliberation.
I think for these very specific pieces that we have to do now, I'm going out on a limb and saying that I don't think we're violating anything, because it's not like they're issues that are necessarily up for a lot of discussion. It's just a kind of logistical planning
Right,
for a meeting, even if it's not our meeting. It's,
right,
we're planning for a meeting, and that we have to be able to share information and not wait 2 weeks.
right.
So, okay.
Great.
And I will update you about what I learn about having Zoom meetings next week. So, on that topic. Okay, anything else on the plan besides the dates and times? I think Meg and Raphael both, like when you call these venues, it might be good to know about if they have any
Outreach.
well, no, I was gonna say any capacity for audio, like any microphone that would be helpful. Microphone and speaker, that sort of setup. It's a yes or no, and if they don't, they don't. But it would be good to know
Yeah,
in addition to
maybe you
just,
can also ask Sam about that when you meet with.
yeah, for sure, for sure. The other piece was preparing for the meeting itself, right? And what kind of materials we're gonna want for this first one. I'm gonna say we could just go, we could ask Sam to help us generate and have available copies of the charter summary that Andy prepared. I'm open to other ideas, but that seems like the simplest route for now. We could do kind of a better and more thorough job of that in future meetings, but I think having something, and if we're gonna have
Yeah.
something, that summary seems like a good something to have. I don't know
I think the
if you
concept
both
of,
have thoughts about that.
I like the idea of good enough.
Yeah, I would also say like perhaps who we are, what this process is, what our charge is, a few slides like connected to that could be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. And if Sam gives us an okay on having the website, for example, I think that might be a nice place to start. Like if we're able to have that on a screen. Now, having something on a screen means having a laptop and a projector and a clean wall to project onto, or a screen. It's, so those are things that come from the venue. I don't have that kind of kit to bring around. I can ask Sam if there's anything available. I didn't have that sense from our initial conversation, but yeah, ideally I would put something up on a screen and share.
Yeah.
Just come over. These are our nieces. They're twins, as you can tell on the
Oh,
anyway, they're just saying hi.
hi.
So we're just gonna keep going with our meeting, okay?
Okay. Bye.
Hi.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Having pizza and barbecue. Well, that made their evening.
That's cute.
They live a mile from us.
Yeah.
Anyway, that sounds good.
So there's a question of the tech, right? Of like what can be technically made available. I'm not sure of that. I don't have a strong sense that we're going to have a projector available, especially for this first one.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I would love to be able to sort of point people to, there is a website, even if we can't put it up on the screen, and there are good materials there that are like a summary of the charter or the charter itself, or who we are. We can have a little bit of patter prepared ourselves saying who we are and what our charge is. And that's something that we can prepare regardless of any technology.
So-
In terms of like a projector and equipment, all shoot an email off to Amherst Media to see if they have a projector available for folks to borrow. I could do that tomorrow.
That's a great idea. Thank you.
Great idea. I think a microphone is pretty good, important, so people can hear each other.
We'll see. I'll check to see if they have that available too.
And the town might have it too.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
The town has done some of these public sessions where people sit at a table and give feedback on like transportation ideas or traffic ideas, and they seem to have technology for that.
Okay. Right.
Great.
Okay. Is there anything else that I haven't brought up that falls under the category of planning for the sessions that we could get, move along in the next week?
I'm happy to try to recruit 7 or 8 facilitators, some of whom would be our committee. It's just, I mean, we've all done it. You sit in a small group and you go around and try to do that.
At some point, we should revisit, maybe not tonight, like how will we capture what's shared? I think
Yeah.
spending some time on thinking about how to do that
Mm-hmm.
is important. Certainly, yes, people could take notes, facilitation, but I'm wondering, like, perhaps ways to gather information to take back to the whole committee, like just approach.
Raphael, do you mean like are you talking on the level of like an audio recording that then we can transcribe, or is there more to that?
It could be that, but we could talk further about those who perhaps could fill out something on their phone. We could talk about that later. When I have time, I could show you a few things that I've used to collect feedback.
Okay,
But I'd have to be in front
Yeah.
of my computer.
not driving.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
also, you can have, for people who aren't comfortable, and we also don't want people to be spending a lot of time on their phones when they're there in person. We can take
I
the,
hear that.
what was that?
I hear that. I hear that.
Yeah, let's talk about that at our next subcommittee
Yeah.
meeting.
Okay.
Oh, just one other thing. For some reason, nobody noticed until I was scheduling these things. The date of the last meeting was not on the day. It said a Sunday or something, and it was actually a Tuesday or something. So I changed. I'll send you the new date.
Okay.
And it's moved it earlier. Instead of July 10th, it's earlier in July, or so that they're happening more around the same time.
Okay.
It was funny, nobody noticed, including myself.
Yeah, there was a lot going on.
Yeah.
Okay, so in our next subcommittee meeting, we'll have maybe a fuller conversation about facilitation plan.
Good.
And we'll have more information to do that with, like the technology questions Raphael's going to pursue, I'm going to pursue. We'll talk about that more fully next time.
Right.
All right. This I had on the agenda. Well, is there anything else that I missed on that topic? I'm going to move on.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the next topic I had on our list was about publicity. I created a flyer that I can share. The dates are all wrong now, but I can sort of share it with you just for the kind of look and feel. And I can also send it to you as a PDF to just take any additional feedback. So it's not just limited to this particular moment. Hang on one second. Raphael, I don't even know if you can see the screen from where you're at currently.
I shouldn't be looking at a screen.
Oh, you should be looking at the road.
I should. I'm looking at the road for sure.
Okay, don't stop looking at the road. I'm gonna
You're
just
on the
I'm gonna
turnpike,
share
right?
this. I'm gonna just share
No,
this.
I was
with-
actually, yeah, back in hours. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
This is just meant to be eye-catching and be able to sort of stand out and in a kind of crowded environment of flyers around town. The dates are all wrong, so that don't pay any attention to that, but it'll just be a kind of list of dates and places.
Boy, that was wishful thinking. May 1st, that's tomorrow.
Yeah, it's exactly. So the website is obviously not going to be committee website, but if we're given an okay to have an outside website, like the one that I proposed, then that would be where that link would go. And this last piece is where I have a big question, that the idea of the survey, the idea was that we could have this ready to go and put a QR code so that someone could, if they can't attend the session, have a way for them to provide feedback right away by taking the survey. It seems to me we're not going to be ready for that this 10-day window that we have to get publicity materials organized, because we've just begun our work with Collins. So the town survey the town staff survey will be ready, but not the general public survey. So I'm going to take that piece out, if that makes sense to both of you.
Yeah, but is there a way to make a QR code that would link to if we can't get either the website, because if people are seeing this as they walk by a kiosk or something, if there's a QR code, they can put their phone up to get to the town
Yeah,
website place where they can make comments.
yes, yeah, we can make
Yeah.
a QR code that goes straight to a way to give us written feedback, even if it's not the survey.
Yeah,
That's a great idea.
yeah, whether it's your website, our website, new website, or the town one, but I was amazed that there were already 84 comments on that.
Yeah.
That were very substantive and so
Right. Okay.
I mean it covered the gamut. And then when I don't need to probably talk more about it, when Bernie divided them into categories, they were his AI tool that he used. They were all the categories that people are talking about. You know, the relationship between the council and the town manager, participation. Did you all see that?
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it was pretty comprehensive.
Nice.
Pizza or
It's like-
anything.
Water.
Okay. So I'm going to take this down, because if you have additional feedback, I'm going to send it to you as a PDF so you can say anything else you want to say about it. It's hard to do right now.
Okay.
I like it.
Okay, good. Just as long as you generally like that concept, then I'll just
But then
tweak it.
see what
correct it.
Sam does, see how to coordinate this with what
Mhm.
she's doing, because she might have a way of getting it out. Well, she will have, yeah.
She definitely will. My plan is to make this say and look like what we want it to, and then deliver it to her so she can just do the distribution piece. That's going to be much harder for us to do. That's where
Right.
she can be really helpful.
And I've collected quite a few email group, neighborhood email groups, like about 7 or 8
Yeah,
we can send to, like the co-housing communities and different neighborhoods have lists that they won't
Great.
give us the names, but they'll post something for us.
that's great. Okay. Any other sort of thoughts on the publicity piece? Again, I'm meeting with Sam about the website and everything next week, so I'll learn more. And if there's anything to report back, like things that we need to do to get her better info or whatever, then I'll email the both of you.
Great.
Right.
Okay. So the last item on the agenda for now is the town official and staff survey, which after our last large group meeting, I sent to Patricia Lloyd, who had joined us from the Collins, and asked her for well, first of all, I added several questions that are specifically for not council, not committee, but town staff and employees, and sent it to her for some feedback. And she looked through it and gave me some detailed feedback, but she didn't send it till last night. So I
Oh.
haven't been able to go through, I was hoping that we could that I would have time to revise it and we could talk through it all together. But I think that the better plan is probably for me to take her notes, update what I can update in the survey, and then
Great.
send along the revision with those notes to you and everybody else.
Okay.
So that people can take it for a test drive and also tell me any remaining changes, typos, anything like that. And then we can talk about a schedule to make it live.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
Sounds good.
I think that was all I needed to say about that. Her feedback was very helpful. I just haven't had a chance to, I just got off work just shortly before our meeting, so I didn't get a chance to work through that. That was the last kind of official agenda item. I'm aware that we are behind on minutes, and we'll have to catch up on that at some point, but
Where are we with the public survey?
the public survey, we were all waiting for the Collins sort of relationship to be initiated.
Mhm.
And now that it has, I feel like the first piece of work we handed, a member of the Collins Center was this town official and staff survey with Patricia's it was interesting and helpful for Patricia to attend our debate and vote on that survey in our last meeting, because she was able to pick up on some of the things that were at issue, or some of the things that were important to us in the creation of that survey. So we have to talk to, I guess, Julian about if anything has been initiated around the public survey with Collins, if he's had conversations with them. I have not had conversations with them about that, because we've been focused on getting this smaller scale thing.
Yeah.
But that is the next piece of work. Now, once we launch the listening sessions and a publicity campaign, is we have to get that survey.
Yeah, at some point we should get like some clarity about how we should approach said survey. Are they providing resources for us to review and create our own? Are they creating it for us? So important to sort of move forward on that, I think, quickly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very much
I
agree.
can reach out to Julian about whether there's been any conversations happening in the background about that.
Yeah. And moving forward, is it in charge to sort of connect with them about this? Is it this committee? Like, what will be moving forward?
Yeah, it's I think you broke up a little bit there, but I think I get the gist of your question, Raphael, which is it whose purview is it to do the outreach and the work on moving that
Yeah.
public survey forward? Is it our subcommittee, or the larger committee? And I'm going to reach out to Julian about whether any work has been initiated, and given that this is the public outreach survey, whether it should also sit in the subcommittee to initiate or drive that process, while in the larger committee we continue to go through and review what's coming in and review the charter.
Mhm.
Yeah, for me, it's important to have clarity, just so that we're perhaps like not sort of taking on the same work, especially since there's so much to do.
Right.
So
Yeah.
since it's on the table, do either or both of you have a thought about whether that, it seems to me that it's a public survey, it's a public outreach survey, and it lands with the public outreach subcommittee, but as a sort of design and guidance process, not necessarily like a final approval, but where do each of you sit with that?
I think we should
I think it was,
go ahead.
you go ahead. You
no,
go ahead, Meg.
Oh, you,
I think like we made a decision for this committee to perhaps deal with survey. We made a decision to wait for the Collins Center. I think it would benefit us to have some resources to review,
yeah,
or that we do the same thing that we did for the other survey in terms of get some guidance from Collins. If we're producing it, we produce it and bring it to the whole committee.
Okay,
we need to get going on that ASAP.
Yeah.
So we need to clarify that with Julian, and you're gonna do that.
I'm gonna reach out to Julian about
And
this
then,
exact conversation and,
Good.
and if he hasn't already initiated something around the public survey, then I would like to on behalf of the Public Outreach Subcommittee.
great, and then you can
Yeah.
update us. So.
Yeah.
Because you'll
And
want a report from us at the next meeting. And we should know what Julian found out before the meeting.
Yeah. And for me, just important to recognize like our process in terms of engaging with the Collins Center.
Yeah.
Like, who are the point people in sort of contacting folks? Like, what's the approach? I'm not sure I'm clear about that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good idea. And to establish that at the next meeting next Thursday.
Yeah.
Establish
So
it for everybody what's happening.
yeah.
It's
So
like, we
things
thought
go
you were
through-
doing it.
Yeah.
Oops.
Raphael, did you have something else you were saying?
Oh, no, that's it. I think that would be helpful for our process
Yeah.
with them.
Okay, so I will reach out and try to get clarity on some of those things. But I think what I'm hearing is that the sentiment of the subcommittee group here is that we see a way where we do the outreach to Collins for resources, ideas, leads, guidance on a public survey. And
Yeah.
and coordinate and bring that back to the larger committee as a process.
And let
Yeah.
us know ahead of time if possible. Yeah, good.
And I'd like to know if the Collins is open to, or if you all are open to them perhaps not only maybe providing resources, but actually producing the survey for us. How do you all feel about that? If that's plausible.
Well, it seems like we have a pretty limited contract with them. I think it includes 5 meetings, and I don't know what's possible within the contract,
Okay.
but we should
Right.
find that out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I bet from the point of view of, I don't know, I bet they won't want to do that. But
I think they probably have a lot of resources that they just
Yeah.
could adapt,
right,
or we could adapt.
right, I agree.
Yeah, and in addition to the resources on the sort of design and content of the survey, I'm going to be really interested to get their input or their guidance on the design and implementation of that survey. Because as I said way back, the design and implementation for a survey for a limited audience like the town officials and staff is very different than a general public thing. And so I wouldn't want to put it necessarily on the same platform or be responsible for that. So I'm hoping
Mhm.
that they can give us guidance on that piece.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'll reach out for some clarity to Julian first and let you know what I hear back. And then assuming we have some kind of clear path to approach them, then I will with your input.
Great.
Terrific.
Okay,
Anything
Um,
Ken to add? We had a guy, Dan was a participant for 20 minutes, but he's stepped left, but
yeah,
Yeah.
good.
and there you go.
Are we all, this is,
Great meeting. That's all. I'm not going to say anything else because we'll get in trouble if I say anything else. I'll see you all tomorrow. I hope we'll see you all tomorrow.
tomorrow?
Not tomorrow, next week.
Next week.
What?
I hope
Minutes.
it's next week.
Tomorrow, I can't,
Oh,
Erica and I can't be there tomorrow,
No.
but that's,
shoot. Okay, I had it on my schedule for next week.
Yeah,
and
we got off schedule because of that one
goof up.
where we had a two charter committee meetings back to back.
well, that is worth the price of admission right there. Thank you. For
I'm okay with jotting down some extremely spare minutes of this meeting if you'd like. Just we have all these minutes we have to produce. And I sure
Yeah.
don't want to listen to audio tapes.
That would be fabulous. Thank you.
Can
Okay.
I raise one other thing before
Of
we?
course, yes.
I'm wondering if we could also, how you all feel about putting forward a proposal to develop another small committee, subcommittee, that engages with the feedback that we're receiving. It's already been done, Meg, Andy, Bernie, but more formalizing it and sort of coming up with like a schedule to do that work.
Great.
I think it's a great idea.
Me too.
Yeah.
Because
So you just keep it on our radar. These folks are reviewing, sharing, so that it becomes a part of what we do moving forward.
yeah, great idea. I think the more and the faster we can move toward discussing what we're hearing,
Yeah.
better. Because it's just been we've been going since September, and
Yeah.
it's now almost May. We
Yep.
just have to start not just saying we're going to listen, but we've been, I don't know, I don't want to overstate it, but I feel it's high time for us to focus on what we've been hearing.
Yeah. I will say, Meg, if you read the guidance that's out there about these committees, sometimes it's a slow go. They're
Yeah,
getting to know each other. There are a
right.
lot of things in play. I
Yeah.
think we're hitting a different stride now. So that's
Yeah.
encouraging.
We didn't have any money, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And every 2 weeks is it's a slow rhythm.
Especially when you can't discuss anything in between.
Yeah.
All
It's
right.
hard.
If you think of, so I've written down a lot of stuff from tonight, but if you think of other agenda items for us for next time, please let me know. I've got the idea for a subcommittee for review, which I think is a great
Mhm.
suggestion. I'll put this all to Julian as well.
Genius suggestion. Okay,
Yeah.
well, have a nice rest of the week, everybody.
Always great working with you all.
You
Yep.
too. Happy May Day, everyone.
All
Oh, yeah,
right.
May
Take
Day.
care.
Workers should
Bye.